or if you didn't hear the question.
We didn't hear the question.
Oh. Okay. So that was funny. I just got this like non-response. I was like, hey, so you guys really excited, and have you learned a lot at Games in Education? Having a good time?
Yay!
There you go. Okay, that was, and then the lag happened, and it was just frozen. I was like, oh, well, I had a really good time when I went. I don't know about you guys. Well, you're really tired. You know, it's after lunch, so much PD and ideas in your head, and I totally understand. So, so let's get started. This is an experiment, okay? I have done this presentation a couple of times. It is an interactive presentation, and I've done it a couple of times with a live, well, your live audience, I guess, with me being in the crowd with the audience, but I've never done it remotely. So I'm really, really going to count on all of you guys really jumping in and getting involved in the presentation. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good. All right. So I'm going to switch to screen sharing and pull up my my keynote here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. All right. So hopefully, let me give you a little background about what I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you about some kind of things that I've been experimenting with here. I work at the district level and have been experimenting with applying some game-like principles to professional development. And so that's what Epic Academy is. Now, as I mentioned to you, this is also a game. So are you guys ready to play?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I can't see you, so I trust, that everybody's not falling asleep and all that. So hopefully you have some sort of web-enabled device, laptop, iPad, even a smartphone should probably work with this. So I need you to go to this web address, tinyurl.com/GIE15epic. And what's going to happen, this is a link to a Google spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet's going to instantly prompt you to make a copy. So, okay, this is challenging, not being able to see the crowd. So let me ask you, and just say, I don't know, yay, or something like that. How many of you are in districts that use Google Apps?
Yay.
Yay.
Oh, it's like 1, 3, 5. Okay, good. So here's a quick tip that I learned. You know how when you share a document with someone in Google Drive, and you get the big, long, crazy URL that has, it always ends in like /edit and then some gobbledygook. If you want students, this is just a free tip, not even charging for this one. If you want students to be able to instantly create a copy of that without actually editing yours, just edit the URL and erase everything from the / where it says edit on and just replace it with copy, and then send them that URL, and it'll do just exactly what this one is doing right here. It will make a copy for them automatically when they pull the address up. So cool tip that I learned, I think, from Alice Keeler, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But anyway, so how many of you, does anybody still need help or need a little more time getting to this address to pull up your game sheet?
I do.
Okay, I'll give you just a couple seconds more. I'm going to, well, I'll leave this up there so that you can see the address. So this is going to load a spreadsheet that Alice Keeler put together and programmed with some awesomeness. She's a spreadsheet queen. And if you're not following her or looking at her stuff online, she's awesome, at Alice Keeler. And I'll put up a slide with her in just a moment. But that's a great little tool that you can use in a classroom if you're a teacher. I use it in presentations and workshops sometimes to add a little extra connectivity, interactivity, fun, and that sort of thing. So we good to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So your game board should look something like this. And let me just give you a quick tour. On the far left side of your game board, you've got a little place where you can put X's in, all right? So this is where you're gonna mark off your quests. Now, I have quests listed. If you look at the description, it will tell you what to do with these quests. Okay, so you're going to have an opportunity. I'm going to ask you to do things in the crowd. I'll ask you to put things out on Twitter or in today's meet, which I'll give you that address in just a moment. And as you complete these quests, you just simply put an X in the left column to indicate that you've done it. It's honor system, no cheating. And you'll be awarded some points, some experience points. And you'll get a badge, and your little level indicator in the upper right corner will begin to climb. Okay, so this is just an excuse to have some fun and to switch things up a little bit. Now, here's the information. One of the big things I think is really important for us as educators that we communicate. You'll notice that in the upper corner of this slide, I have a little 17 in a circle. First off, that is a little indication that there's something on this slide or something related to what we're talking about right now that corresponds with one of the quests in the spreadsheet. So if you look down through the quest numbers and find number 17, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you're not a Twitter person, and I hope you are, Twitter, I can't say enough about how important Twitter is to me as an educator and to so many other educators as a place to grow your own personalized professional learning network. It's hands down the absolute best resource that I have. So anyway, if you're going to put things out on Twitter, and the instructions in the quest share this. Use these hashtags. And if you're not a Twitter person, that's okay. You can go, and I've set up a back channel in todaysmeet.com/epicgie, and we can have some discussion there as well. So either way, and I'll check back to the back channel here near the end, or if we have time for questions at the end, we'll do some Q&A stuff. All right, we ready to move on?
Yes.
Yay, okay, awesome. So let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Lucas Gillispie. I've just recently taken a position in the western part of North Carolina in a school system called Surry County Schools. I'm the director of academic and digital learning. I am an absolute total geek, and that'll come through obviously in the presentation of things that you see here. And I just wear it like a badge of honor. I just love it. So I'm totally geeky about things. You'll see that in some of the quests and some of the slides that I put here. And so one of the things that I love to do, especially if you're on Twitter, is connect. So follow me on Twitter. If I can tell by looking at your Twitter account in any way that you're an educator, I'll follow you back. And then we can continue this conversation long after we've gone on past GIE. So I would love to connect with you. All right. So first off, a quick shout out, as I mentioned, to Alice Keeler. Alice is she is amazing. She's an amazing educator based out of California. She is just a master at Google stuff, and especially spreadsheets. So she's the one who put this spreadsheet together. Now, here's an interesting thing. If you decide you want to use this, if you're a teacher with your students, or you want to use this as an administrator or somebody who leads professional development, you've automatically got a copy of the spreadsheet. So you have access to it. And I will tell you that there are hidden tabs. You probably got it showing only probably 2 tabs maybe. But if you right click down in the bottom, you can actually see the hidden tabs and pull them up as well. One of which has instructions on how to modify this and customize it. So you have a copy of it now, and you can begin to customize it and use it yourself. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. So give a shout out to Alice Keeler and tell her thanks for being awesome and for sharing this awesome resource with us. Okay. So one of the things that I kind of thought about recently when I've been thinking about professional development, and I've been working with students in the classrooms and working with teachers in the classroom, is everybody keeps asking me, like, do you think of everything as a game? And really, I thought about that, really that's a framework of looking at things, that life is really a game and you're a player in that game. Sometimes that's useful, sometimes it's not useful, but when it's useful, really cool way to look at things. So I've heard some discussion about this already. I watched Peggy's keynote, and I've heard some of the and looked at the Twitter stream from this conference so far about what is gamification. And this is one of those slides, one of those quests. Like, I wish I was in the audience, because if anybody's doing number 14, it's probably pretty funny. So gamification, just a little bit about what gamification is. And I've heard this already mentioned, but just a reiteration, it's just when you apply game-like mechanics to non-gaming situations. It is, and I totally agree, it goes way beyond leaderboards, it goes way beyond badges. That's not even a game. I mean, that's just some game-like elements. But real, true game-like, game-inspired learning really capitalizes on some of the best elements of games, possibly storytelling. You could talk about puzzles and problem solving, choice and agency, all these great things that make up really cool games. And I think that you can apply those in professional development as well. So just as a counterpoint, because I hear these terms kind of used interchangeably, game-based learning, games for learning, is when we actually use real games to teach some concept. So just as a counterpoint, we talk about games and what makes a game good and what makes games different from gamification. I just wanted to clarify. So when I'm talking about gamification, I'm talking about kind of the things that we're doing in this session right now. They're putting some game-like elements in non-gaming context. All right, so what makes a game good? I'm going to throw that out there. And I've got some examples of games here. Just shout out, I'll try to listen, but I'm not used to doing this session remotely, but I'd like to hear from you. What to you makes a game a good game?
Surprises.
Prizes, okay.
No, surprise. Surprise.
Oh, surprises. Well, prizes and surprises, okay. What else?
Good pace.
Say that one more time.
Fast enough pace.
Yes. Excellent. What else? Anything else that when you think of a game that you really like, what things do you like about it?
Challenge level.
Yes. Being able to level up and getting new abilities and having more options to do things as you increase your competency and mastery in a game. Those are all good things. You guys are giving great examples, and I'm sure you've got more. And Twitter is starting to light up with some other examples as well. So share those things out. Those are to think about what makes a game a good game. What brings you back to it. Think about games like World of Warcraft or Angry Birds or Trivia Crack or even golf or if you're into games like Carcassonne or Candy Crush. I mean, what are the things that bring you back to that game? And break them down to their like kind of little fundamental parts and think, well, is there any of this stuff that I could use, for example, in my classroom with my students? Or in my case, is there any of these elements that I could take and bring into the professional development that I'm charged with helping teachers acquire in my school district? So that's where the Epic Academy comes in. Epic Academy is a professional development program that's sort of game inspired. And I'm going to walk you through kind of how I put some of this together. And this is not by any means designed to be, like you have to do it this way. This is just my experiment. And I'm an educator sharing out what I've done and what I've learned. And I hope that something here you'll be able to take back, even if it's just the swapping out copy for edit for copy in the URL of a Google Doc. Hope that if that's useful and that you got something out of this, then my mission here, my work here is done. All right. So the idea behind Epic Academy is that I wanted to provide teachers in my district professional development that's primarily online, but also possibly in the future blended and even face-to-face. We could do any of this. I want it to be very choice-driven. So often we get professional development that we have no say in, and it's and often it's not even useful or helpful at all, unfortunately. It's also, Epic Academy is also driven off of a mastery or evidence-based approach. So as the teachers that I'm working with are doing things in Epic Academy, they're also creating things that are useful for them in the classroom. And likewise, it's very granular. We can expand it, port it to other platforms, do whatever we need to with it. It's real flexible. And then it's also designed to be engaging and also social, because I believe some of the best learning happens in social contexts. So the question, one of the questions you maybe ask yourself was, well, why? Why do this? Why even bother? Well, it kind of started a conversation at an ed camp. And we were having a conversation about why PD sucks and what we don't like about PD. And these were the kinds of things that teachers in that session were saying. Do any of these look familiar to you or sound familiar to you? Yeah. I mean, so often our PD is dictated, there's no follow-up, that kind of thing. And even that bottom line, which I'm not going to do that because then that would be kind of hypocritical, I suppose. So there's a lot of things about professional development. And what's ironic is that we have professional development on how to do things a certain way in the classroom, like to be engaging, to differentiate and all that, and yet our professional development doesn't use that same model. It's kind of strange, isn't it? So the group of teachers and I, and we were all kind of hanging around at this ed camp session on why PD sucks. And so we began to kind of list those things out and put it into words so that we could actually see it. Ironically, this was on a chalkboard. I thought that was kind of interesting. And but we didn't want to sit there and just be negative all day. We thought, well, why not come up with some solutions about why technology, or how technology and how choice and things like that, how can we make PD better? And so we said, well, what do we want in our PD? And this is what teachers said. We want things that we want. We want to have choice and different formats and things like that. And it needs to be personal. And so teachers began to share things out, and we created, interestingly enough, on a whiteboard in the classroom, some things that we liked about happy, powerful PD, and kind of wrote those things down. And so I was sitting there talking about this, and I'm thinking, I think there's a solution here, and I think games could offer a potential solution to this problem. And so based off of that conversation at Ed Camp, and some experiences and my passion for games and learning and play and fun, and then using some of the things that I've seen done with the platform 3D Game Lab, which I'm sure you guys have heard about some since you've been there. And I'm just telling you, it's not a requirement. You could do this without 3D Game Lab, but if you have it, it sure makes it easier. That I think there's a solution here. I think we can come up with a possible solution that's going to work. So that's where the idea started. How many of you have been to Ed Camp? Anybody in there? Just say, I have. Have you been to Ed Camps? Yay, good. Okay, if you haven't been to an Ed Camp, talk to somebody who just yelled out and said, I have, and find out how to go, because Ed Camps are awesome. It's about teachers getting together and meeting each other's needs and connecting and networking. It's awesome. You need to go to Ed Camp. I'm a huge proponent, huge fan of Ed Camps. All right. Moving on. Chris Crawford was a developer at Atari one time, and he made this quote, and I thought it was pretty awesome, that kind of connected fun and learning. And I thought, how true is that? That, when we are having fun, it's usually because our brains are super engaged in something, and something where learning is taking place. So I kind of thought that was neat, a neat quote from somebody who's not even in education, but I thought it's so true. So I am one to absolutely abuse acronyms all day long. Everything has to be an acronym. And so EPIC stands for Engaging, Playful, Innovative, and Connected PD. And so that's one of the ways, those are kind of the 4 pillars or platforms that I built on when I was putting this together. So how does it work? So here's one of the main things. So 3D Game Lab, as I mentioned, is a tool that I use to start to build the professional development, because I've seen this work with students, where you give students an opportunity to take a game-like, game-inspired, quest-based approach to learning, and it's truly powerful. It's awesome. So why wouldn't that work with teachers, I thought? I mean, if humans are humans, sometimes they're just different sizes. So I thought, well, maybe we'll just try this with teachers and see what happens. And so we started a pilot. So again, some of the benefits of this platform is, one, everybody gets a customizable avatar. You get to express yourself and be personal, and personalize it. You get ranks. So we have all kinds of funny and silly ranks in the system. And then there is a progress bar. And I think that's one of the most important and powerful things, is that as learners, we want to see some measurable outcomes. We want to see progress. Like, I want to see that I'm making my way toward a goal. And just a simple visual element like a progress bar that fills up over time as I gain experience doing different kinds of activities, different quests, is hugely powerful. And so that's one of the awesome things that I think teachers have really responded well to so far that I've worked with. This is what the system looked like. If you haven't taken a peek inside a 3D game, it looks like this. This is a teacher view, but it's very similar from the student perspective. You come in, you look, and you find quests that are available to you and say, okay, I want to know a little more about this quest, and jump into it. So most of the stuff that I've done so far has been sort of digital learning oriented, ed tech kind of stuff. But there's no reason that we couldn't expand this into content areas like the sciences or social studies, ELA, English language arts. Everybody calls things different things, but and so we could really expand it out from there. And so the general design is, and I know this looks nuts, but this is when I design this kind of nonlinear learning, I have to use some sort of graphic organizer to make sense of it all. I use Poplet. It's easy to use, it's free, but there's other ones out there that you could use, any kind of flow charting, drawing, sketching kind of thing. Or even when I first started using these kind of, doing work in this kind of nonlinear instructional design, I was just sticking sticky notes on a wall. I mean, anything that works. And so everyone starts at one point in the learning process, but then you begin to branch out and you have choices. And once you get to this one kind of critical point, everything begins to branch out from there. So in my pilot, and I did a pilot with about 40, I think it was around 40 teachers in the early fall, or from the fall into the early spring, and primarily dealt with, one, just acclimating them to this environment, this system, and then gave them a whole series of quests on growing their professional learning networks. And so once you got to a certain point, you begin to unlock different areas of the course or the experience. And it's all based off of what you want to do. So teachers could work at their own pace whenever they wanted to in their free time and begin to move forward and unlock PD as they go. It's kind of a cool idea, but I was not sure how they would respond to it. Now, I break everything. I'm a former avid World of Warcraft player, and one of the things that I did was to kind of take their pattern of this idea of a quest chain. And then the quest chain, you start out with something simple, and it kind of leads you on this pathway through all these story elements into some really kind of ultimate culminating experience. So a sample quest chain actually in this system was all about getting teachers connected to other teachers in Twitter. Now, I don't have, I am not particularly, I don't mind if teachers just want to dabble or if they want to go deep. That's up to them in this system, completely up to them. You have the autonomy as a teacher in the system to learn as much or as little as you want to. So at the starting quest, at the top of the screen where it says, what is Twitter? That's where you start. And so you get a little introduction, you find a little bit about what Twitter is, how it got started, what it's all about. This is like, I know, assuming you know nothing about Twitter. But then once you complete that quest, you get a little more invested. So you get to jump into Twitter search, and you get to see how Twitter might be a good way to find out information, because you have all of these masses of information and all this information just kind of streaming out through Twitter. And with Twitter search, I can go in and find out what's going on, but I don't have to commit, don't have to have an account at this point. This is all really kind of shallow level learning about Twitter, and that's perfectly fine if that's what you want. So then moving forward, teachers then get a little more invested and they create accounts. So once this is kind of like, okay, I'm committing to this. I'm gonna jump in a little deeper. So I'll walk them through account creation in a particular quest. They learn how to set up their account in such a way that other educators can find them, how they can connect. And then we begin to develop, reach out and connect to other educators. And we build our Twitter base. Now, I have little side things that are not necessarily directly related to the learning, but there's certainly things that we ought to celebrate. And so if a player in this PD earns or gets 100 followers, then they can claim this achievement and they get a special badge for that. It says, hey, I've got 100 followers, and that's just the first step to really growing their network. And so lastly, all of this culminates in this big kind of epic culminating quest where they participate actively in Twitter chats. So things like EdChat or GBO or Badge Chat, there's all the different kinds of chat out there. If you've never done a Twitter chat, again, highly recommend it that you jump in. And then if they really get into that, they find, hey, this is awesome, I'm loving this, I want to do more of this, and they participate in at least 3 of them, they get another achievement and some recognition. And then ultimately, once they've successfully provided evidence of their active participation in these things, they submit their quest and they get an official Surrey County Schools badge, recognizing them as a Surrey County Schools Twitter certified educator. And then of course, that's one part of a lot of other ideas. So you see kind of in the little green there, you have this big idea of what it means to be a connected educator. Twitter is just one component of that. But what if we use Skype or Pinterest, or we talked about and explored blogging? And so teachers then could begin to explore these other quest areas as well. They could do a little bit of Twitter, a little bit of Pinterest. Maybe they want to follow Twitter and complete that before they start anything else. That's up to them. And then if they were to unlock all of these badges, they earn a super badge that says, I'm a Surrey County Schools connected educator. So kind of a cool idea here with some side stuff thrown in for fun, just to encourage social connectivity, that sort of thing. So that's the idea how this works. And we could take this based off of what we experienced in the pilot. We can take this and expand it into all sorts of areas. There's really no limit. And this could be, I kind of call it buffet style professional development. You provide it, teachers can come in, they can work at their own pace. Maybe I've got a little bit of time in my planning period. Maybe I'm at home, I've got my bunny slippers on, some hot tea, and I'm gonna work through some quests and learn a little more about Pinterest tonight. If I'm not using Pinterest in an educational context, I can find out more there. So that's kind of the idea of how we arrange this professional development. Now, again, if you're not someone who's in charge of professional development, this same idea can apply to the stuff that you're teaching in your classroom, the content that you're sharing with students, the same concept. It's just about building choice and opportunity sort of to enrich and learn into our curriculum. So here's what a sample quest preview looks like. Maybe I want to learn a little bit about this idea of TPAC, which talks about how we integrate technology in the classroom. So I get a little preview, and if I decide I want to accept the quest, I get a little information about it, a little background, and some activities and things that I do. And then I have to provide evidence that I've actually done this activity in some way or another. So then what we have a learning management system in our district called Haiku. But you can use anything. You don't even have to have a learning management system to do this. But since we are kind of all in on Haiku as a learning management system, I thought, well, why not? I'll just create a Haiku section and everybody can come and post their evidences here who's participating in the program. And as they do, they can learn from others, learn from their fellow guildmates, because I'm kind of adopting all of the concepts and ideas from the game world. So yeah, we're all in a guild together. We're going through this experience together, and we're going to share and grow as we learn together. So everybody's putting all of their evidences in public forums and such in our learning management system. You can do this with Moodle or anything else. So once I've completed, for example, the TPAC game, and I've gone through and kind of given some examples of how I would use this idea of TPAC in my classroom, I come and I copy and paste my responses from that experience into a forum, and other people get ideas too. It's kind of cool. And so then I thought about, well, like what does it mean to have a badge? Because the important thing about a badge is that it has to have meaning to the person who wants it. If you don't want it, and then there's no point in it. If it doesn't have any point beyond the experience. And so one of the things that we did was to offer digital badges in a lot of the areas that we want our teachers in our district to kind of have these digital experiences. But at the same time, we give badges for things that aren't necessarily like you have to have this for the classroom. For example, TED Talks. You can earn a TED Talk badge by going out and experiencing a certain number of TED Talks and just reflecting on them as an educator. What is it? What are you getting out of this? And so we have quests for those as well. And also there's different levels of recognition. For example, you might be proficient at Google Sheets, but maybe you haven't mastered Google Slides yet. So you earn smaller kind of copper colored badges and maybe unlock a diamond badge or a gold or diamond badge later on. Those are things that are possibilities. We haven't actually done that yet, but those are something that we're looking at for the future. So, big deal. Okay, badges. Who cares about badges? Because the state of North Carolina doesn't certify me on badges. They certify me on continuing education units. So I wanted to give our teachers experiencing that this program that as well. And so when assigning experience points to the activities that the teachers were doing, just simply come up with a formula to convert that. So 100 experience points is worth an hour's worth of professional development. And then we just break it down from there. 50 for a 30-minute, 25 for a 15-minute. And the cool thing about it is that where you might sit through a workshop, a face-to-face workshop for an hour's worth of PD, here you actually can break it down into even smaller, more manageable units to get a little bit here and there. And we're providing teachers actual compensation. They're actually earning CEUs for even investing small amounts of time, like 15 minutes, and those add up. And so to make it manageable, what we tell teachers they can do is at every 1,000 XP they earn, they can cash it in our professional development system, and it'll go toward their renewal cycle for their license in the district. So again, they're earning badges as a visual recognition, but they're also earning the CEUs, which the state requires to maintain their licensure. And the other cool thing about it that we're thinking about doing too is actually taking and making physical alternatives to the digital badges that they're earning, because a digital badge is meaningful if you're kind of playing in that realm. But if you're not really in that realm a lot, and you're not adding this to your email signature or to your website, how do you let people know that you've done the work, you've earned and mastered a particular idea? So we're actually thinking about creating decal type badges that the teacher could put on their classroom window or on the back of their car or whatever, just for fun. And so when you earn the digital badge, we'll also send out the decal badge as well that they can put on their laptop or whatever they want to do with it. It's up to them. The other cool thing about this is that we can align everything that we're doing to standards. And so teachers can see how much experience points they've earned based off of, say, the ISTE net standards or whatever standards that we're using for the PD that's in the system, which is a cool idea because, again, it's just another way of tracking your progress and your learning. And the other cool thing about, from my standpoint as the person who's developing and designing and delivering this PD online, is that I get all kinds of cool data in the background. So I can look at the different quests that I've given teachers, and I can see how many of them are doing it. They can rate it. And if a quest is getting a low rating, there's something wrong with it. I need to fix it, because if it's not fun, if it's not engaging, if they're not getting anything out of it, then I need to take it out or modify it. And so that's one of the things now that after the pilot has wrapped up, I'm going back through and looking at how teachers have rated things and what they like and what they don't like, and adjusting accordingly. Because again, my goal, I want to make something that meets their needs. And I get to see all this cool data in the background too about how many people have completed a quest, how many people dropped the quest. Hey, if they drop the quest, that's fine. That's up to the teacher. That's fine with me. So I get to see kind of how everybody's progressing. One of the things I learned very early on is that I have some absolute power gamers amongst my teachers. And these are people who, like, they're motivated to do everything. They want to earn all the badges, unlock all the quests, complete all the experience points, etc. And it's funny to watch that. And these are people that I would never have guessed had this as a personality thing. It's kind of funny to watch that. And then you get to that point, and I heard Paul talk about this yesterday in his presentation about the word game and some of the other things, is that you have these people who kind of power through it, and they've unlocked and done everything, and what's next? And so that's one of the challenges on my part is being able to keep new and fresh content coming. And so that's something I've taken into account as we're looking at expanding the program this year. So this is awesome, and I love this data, and I'll explain the thing in the middle in just a second. So in less than a month, so after we had run this program for a month, I had a total of 43 players. They earned a cumulative total of 138 achievements, completed 382 quests, and earned 14,495 experience, or a grand total of almost 14 and a half CEUs collectively. And that was one of the things too that I would do, is I would send out communications to the guild of players like, hey, just collectively, I want you to know what you're doing as a group, how awesome these numbers are. And officially, they had unlocked 7 official badges amongst all the players. Yay! Somebody did something crazy, and I hate it that I can't see it. Is somebody breakdancing? Because I'm really frustrated. Okay. So let me tell you about the ninja. So the ninja is a cool thing here. So one of the things that I did too is because I want it to be very game-like. So I actually hid secret quests in the whole system, and I buried clues and quests throughout. And one of the things that I wanted them to do was go and find this secret quest series that actually was focused on game-based learning and why games are valuable for learning. But they had to follow the clues, and I told them, you'll set this whole series of quests off, but you just have to find the ninja. What was ironic is I put the ninja like in plain view in one of the quests with no context. You're just like reading this quests about a particular thing, and there's a ninja there, and only one of my teachers found it. But when she found it, it was incredible. She got all into like chasing down the clues and where I had hid them, and I gave clues and quests all over the place to kind of hide this. So really, what I've done is, if you've ever heard the term Easter egg, I hid Easter eggs into the PD. That secret things that astute teachers would find if they were interested. And if they weren't interested in that, that's fine too. And she ultimately finished the entire thing and earned the golden egg, which was sort of the sort of haha funny reward at the end. But interesting. And I wasn't upset that more teachers didn't find it or complete it. That's fine. I don't mind if it's rare. But that it was doable is good feedback. So kind of cool to watch this happen and to think about what's next with it. So a couple of other goals and things that I'm really focused on, what's important to me. Yes, teachers learning about things that they can take back to their classroom and use is obviously important, but I have some things that I want to build amongst teachers at the different schools that I work. One is I want to foster a sense of community. I want them to be like a secret club that I don't, if they have a secret handshake or something, that'd be awesome. That's kind of a dream. But that they know that they're a part of something, and that it kind of creates that allure. So if I can do that, that would be awesome. I'm trying to figure out ways to do it. Adding elements of novelty and failure. I want people to realize that failure is okay and that it's awesome, and that's where you're going to learn the most. But also the novelty things, like those little side achievements that are just there for fun, or more things like the embedded puzzle game, the Easter egg. Like I want to develop more of that kind of thing. But also I'm going to create some blended and live events. And really what I'm trying to do is just model what some of the things that I think are really good things that we can use with our students. So a lot of options, a lot of opportunities and things that we can do with this as moving forward. So that's kind of, I just want to share with you some of the things that I've done, this idea that I think we can take. You've learned a lot about using games with students. You've talked a lot about gamifying your classroom and all that, but hey, what about us? What about us as educators? We want to have fun too with our learning. And this is just an experiment that I've done to see what would happen. And we're really excited about how the pilot went with the group of teachers that we tried out with this year. And so we hope to expand it out to all of our teachers coming up in this school year. My challenge now is creating content, because the people, like my power gamers in the group, they want more and more and more. And how do I keep that fresh? And so what I'm actually thinking about doing is leveraging those people to actually being my content creators. I want teachers teaching teachers, kind of like an ed camp. That's a crazy idea. So let me stop screen sharing and let me see if you guys have any questions, because I think somebody did breakdancing and I just missed it. I'm really frustrated. So what kind of questions do you have? What do you think? Is this nuts? Am I lost my mind?
No.
Okay.
I wanna
Just a simple no.
Now, how long did it take for you to build the quests? And I mean, like, did you do it all at once, or did you add the quests once you had the people in?
Good question. Awesome question. So I had the little intro quests that kind of like, okay, and it was really just designed to orient people. I'm thinking about breaking those out as I kind of develop this as like a boot camp, like you kind of welcome, let me orient you and get you used to this and talk a little bit about the why and the how and how this system works, but then just turn you loose, let you do your thing. So I had those built, and then I had most of the connected educator stuff built. So I had the Twitter quest built and the blogging quest built. And one of the things that I did, because this was interesting, people would get into it, and I could kind of track the activity, and it would, I'm trying to think how this looks to you guys this way. Anyway, imagine a graph. And activity is kind of going up, 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 and then it kind of levels off. And the activity kind of plateau after a while. And so one of the things that I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to do a series of quests on Pinterest because there's so many cool things out there on Pinterest that teachers can use. And I want them not only going out and finding cool things on Pinterest, but also collaborating and creating and sharing on Pinterest, because, you know, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. So I created a series of quests in Pinterest, but they were hidden until I completed them. This was about midway through, and then I launched them like, hold, there's a new quest chain that's been launched, and what I saw was activity peaked up again, and everybody started getting back into it for a while until the ones that were going to do the Pinterest mastered the Pinterest, and then it plateaued again. So what I've learned is, I think I'm going to take like an episode approach to this, which could be really interesting. So somebody really just do a selfie? Like, how does that even work? I'm getting Twitter notifications. It's nuts. I'm like, squirrel, you know. So one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is treating all this like an episode, like having some content that's just there all the time, work at your own pace, but then interjecting like a new season of content, you know, ooh, in this season, you know, if I need that movie voice, you know, in a world, you know, and kind of launch it like that and turn it on and off for a period of time. What I think I've found is that that's sort of an artificial thing. If I artificially put a deadline on it, people are going to be more motivated to complete it. It's really weird. If I tell people you have as much time as you want, real world kicks in and real life kicks in. And so that's kind of a lesson learned. And so I'll do that, and I can just recycle it, you know, a few months later, like it's back, you know, with tentacles and stuff. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about doing in the future, is just kind of taking that and turning parts on and off to almost create this kind of false scarcity. So to see if people will be interested in and more engaged. And that was a long answer. I could probably just said yes to, sorry. What else? Are any of you directly involved with PD, or is it are you classroom teachers mostly working with your students?
I am.
Yeah, PD. Yeah. So, and like I said, 3D Game Lab is great. It helps to organize this stuff, but you don't have to you can do this with just simple web pages and how you set things up. Like even a Google site, you could do this. It's possible. And so that's one of the things too that I want to encourage you. Like, you don't have to have 3D Game Lab, but it does help. And it helps organizationally. So that's something to consider too. What else can I help you with? What else has been beneficial to you?
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Teachers. I would love to.
I surveyed the teachers at the conclusion, and a lot, the feedback was all positive. The only thing like constructive feedback that I got from teachers was that was sort of like they felt like the fact that there was no deadline, they had as much time as they needed to do it, and so then they were less motivated to do it. Interestingly enough, that's what they told me. So yeah, that's moving forward. I think that's one of the things they're going to change is put some content in and kind of turn it on and off.
What was the percentage of staff that participated in the pilot?
So we had 43 participants, and that's out of, let me think, we have around 850 teachers in 19 schools in our district. And I put it up, first come, first serve. Within 2 days, I'd filled my slots, and I was just limited by the number of slots that I had in 3D Game Lab. It was sort of an artificial limitation, and so yeah, it was it was a good cross section too. I had elementary, middle, and high, and then I had media coordinators. I had exceptional children's people, even school counselors and administrators participating. So good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you got something you can take from this. That spreadsheet, if nothing else, is a lot of fun, and that's an easy way just to put some little fun, interactive stuff. And everything with me is a big social experiment. I'm just curious as to what I can get people to do. Again, it's a little easier when I'm live in the group. If I can get people to bust out and dance right in the middle of my session, I think that's a win. So yeah, I think I saw something over there, or I don't know, maybe it's over there. I can't tell. So awesome. So hey, everybody gets credit for that quest. Yeah.
Where are you actually?
So I'm in North Carolina. I'm in a small town called Dobson, North Carolina, northwestern part of the state. I did live near the coast, and just in the past year have moved back to, this is actually my hometown. So I'm working actually with some of my old teachers and former students, and it's crazy. But yeah, it's an opportunity to get back closer to home, bring family closer together, and that sort of thing. Miss the beach a little bit, but not too much. It's good
I
stuff.
was thinking before, other school districts did it, and collaboratively, if you could maybe do some of the professional development of one school district, and that would be neat.
So you're basically talking about like an exchange and open it up beyond our borders. Yeah, I'm actually interested enough. We're trying that too. I've got a school in Raleigh, North Carolina, a high school that's undergoing some serious, like they're overhauling some stuff and doing really cool things. And they came out and met with me. And so we're really just going to do an exchange. Like I'm going to develop some quests, and they can bring those quests into their system, and they're developing quests, and I can bring them in and have that exchange. I would love to see the opportunity for us to have like actually interaction between the two different different schools and different people in different areas. I think that's like the potential for learning from each other is just awesome. So yeah, great idea. Do you have any feedback, any ideas that I can steal from you? I'm all about stealing, so let me know if you guys have any suggestions, anything you think would work, or we could change it up a little bit.
And just as a social worker, it's also good too. I feel like a lot of the professional development trainings are always geared toward teachers, but if there's some general ones, maybe even teachers may be interested in them too. Things that are not always directed for the teachers, but for related.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this model, I think it could work outside of the context of K-12, higher ed, or whatever. I think you take this to the corporate world and do this kind of thing. I think the part is people need sometimes we need permission to have fun. And that's one of the things I love about games, is that games give us a context to do things outside of the norm, and it makes it okay. Somebody bursting out, if I hadn't given you the quest sheet and encouraged somebody to like cheer wildly or to burst out into dance, it would have never happened. And I think it's something that we want to do. I think we want to act a little silly sometimes. We need permission to do that. We want permission to kind of suspend the day-to-day grind and do things differently, and to think differently and creatively. And I think that's what games give us, a great context for doing that. And so I'm just trying to apply that to a PD context, because PD sucks. I've been in workshops that are terrible, and I don't want it to suck anymore. I want it to be fun. So I'm just trying to switch it up a little bit.
This is a good combination
Oh,
of lecture style and game.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So I hope we've connected, and I'll connect to you on Twitter. So let's connect and learn from each other. I love working with teachers.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Y'all have a great rest of the conference, and I hope to see you soon online.
I do the hazmat thing. Bye.